Welcome to the Lighthouse Conversations, a show featuring entrepreneurs and tastemakers from the world of art, culture, tech, and of course food. I'm your host, Hesham Muntasir. I'm joined today from Milan by David Rafoul and Nicolas Moussalem, in short, David Nic, two designers who set up their studio in Beirut in 2011 and haven't looked back since. Through what the design press describes as retro-futurist aesthetic, they are represented by two highly acclaimed galleries, Nurafar Gallery in Milan, founded by the legendary Nina Yashar, as well as Carpenter's Workshop Gallery, which represents the likes of Rick Owens, Virgil Abloh, and the Campana brothers. When the New York Times selected them as one of the breakout stars at Milan Design Week in 2014, they were off to the races. As a design enthusiast, I wanted to unpack what retrofuturism really means, how their hybrid Lebanese Francophone backgrounds plays a part in their design process, and frankly, I was also curious, do they actually get along as BFFs/creative partners? I was telling you, just for the benefit of our listeners a few minutes ago, that I discovered your Spotify playlist 2 days ago, which made my evening and gave me a tiny bit of perspective on how you guys think. I'm going to just start with an aesthetic that you described, that you've been described at and also put on your website, which is, in terms of your work and your design style, it says it's a retro-futurist design aesthetic. I mean, do you feel this description that I just gave gives it justice? Was this how you describe your own work? Or were you described as such, maybe one of the galleries that represents you or outside press, etc.?
It's hard to say because when we started, we didn't have like a descriptive word. We didn't want to have a descriptive word. We didn't even. I think it's when you start, it's a bit might seem a bit arrogant to like say, okay, this is what I do. But then with the first couple of years, then we were described that way from different press, etc., etc. And then we knew that this is what we were doing, but we couldn't put a label on it. So no, now today we're confident enough to say that this is what we look for. We don't say that we're not retro-futuristic per se, but we have an obsession with time, and everything we do revolves around that.
Walk me a little bit through that. What does that mean, obsession with time?
It's obsession with time is like to have because at the end, when we think also sustainability, it comes and it comes in there's many topics that comes when we speak about time. It's to have a piece that you can just give to the next generation, something that will stay forever. Okay. And to have something like this the idea is to create a piece that will be, okay, as we know, timeless. So working with time is like when we design a piece, we and it's also where retrofuturistic comes in, is like we get inspired from the past, but also from the future. We're trying to mix things together in a special narrative. Now, how to put them together in a very good harmony, not doing like something futuristic and sometimes I put something very vintage. But when you look at our work, it's like there is an evolution. Okay, 5 years, 10 years ago, in 2011, we created this series. If you look at in 2012, it was in Vista Alegre in Portugal. And we created this series that was called Digital Love. It's one of the titles of the music of Daft Punk. And this, like, we still love this series. It's a piece that its pieces is like plates and like broken plates from the factory. We were staying there for 3 months that we just picked from the factory. Like we picked them from the factory and we put them together. And with the glaze, they got stick together. We did like so many composition. And afterwards, one of the artisans, we designed on it. We designed like some lines in gold and there was something very digital, but also the fact that it was porcelain and everything, there is like a feeling of
materiality. Yeah.
Yes.
Is there a conscious choice in terms of, for example, particular materials you use or a particular design, or do you feel this is subconscious and this is the end effect, what comes out? Are you going, for example, and saying, just to kind of break it down a bit, if I use this particular material in my design, this really adds to this timelessness element? Or it all comes together and you feel that the end result is really what gives us this kind of particular aesthetic? Because I went through your website and through your various productions, let's say, or design pieces from the beginning. And like you said, I obviously see an evolution, which is great. It's really a superb evolution, I have to say. But I also see a thread. There is clearly a thread from the beginning that I can still trace in your latest creations.
There is a thread, of course, and like we don't when we work on a project, we don't think of okay, I want to use this material and that material together. What we do is that when we start our process of creating, we come to a point where, okay, here we have a detail that we need to work on. And usually the details are accents. For us, they're like the little accents that will come and just make the whole project stand out. And usually these accents, typically they change material because it's a way of junction. So for us, it's a very functional approach, and the material kind of imposes itself to the project and not just our thoughts. So you can see that clearly from the first projects up to now. If you look at our path, it's always when there's a change, when there's a movement, when there's like a junction between two things, usually we change materials.
And we like to have a brief. It's important to have like a target, something, we have to, there is a solution also. It's not like there is the creativity and there is also to find a solution for a specific project, for a specific client, for a specific piece. So it's a kind of junction between creativity and technicality.
And how does the interplay work? So obviously you do certain work that may be for a particular client. So you've designed restaurants before, you've designed obviously some residential homes, and then you do pieces that may not be a particular client. They go via the galleries that represent you, or maybe directly out to the public, which, design enthusiasts and collectors and others can find. How much of the work you do is in discussion and in conversation with either that particular client or the galleries versus really something that the two of you sit down and do from beginning to finish on your own? I mean, it's obviously on your own, but I mean, like, how much input is coming from external parties that may have a commercial or personal interest in you?
It's an interesting question because we can compare them. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nicolas, but we can compare them with, for example, the pieces that we did for Carpenter's Workshop. That was the Supernova series. This was something that was very, like, it was us. Like it was really from the beginning to the end. We talked with Julien Loic, the co-founder of the gallery. We talked with them to understand the essence of the gallery. Also, it's important to have something that's also why we are with them, because there is something that you have to. There is a collaboration.
Of course.
But in that series, we created something that we really feel. Okay, and. This is where there is a difference. For example, last Salone, the one that we presented the sofa with Tacchini, which is a brand. Like we did with many brands, we work with brands. But here you have to adapt a bit to the brand to understand what material they use and what they are trying to communicate. They work with many designers, and also you have also to think a lot about the factory, what are their capacity, and you have to keep your identity, which is another challenge. Okay, for us as designer, we need those two challenges.
Was there any intimidation? I mean, you work today with arguably two, if not the two most important design galleries in the world, probably. I mean, Niloufar and Carpenters both have a fantastic reputation. You look at the roster of designers, it's the who's who of design globally. Was there a moment in that inflection point where you were like, oh my God, now I'm going to be compared to X, Y, and Z? I have to step up? Or was it very natural evolution and you do what you do and people just appreciate it?
No, I mean, we like to see the other side of the whatever story. That we think that we have something that maybe the others don't have.
That differentiation point that you're of course, they saw a differentiation point. I, as a consumer and fan of your work, see a differentiation point. But what do you feel is that differentiation point that you're saying you have and maybe others don't?
David, can I speak, or you want to?
Yes, no, speak.
You can both answer this question.
No, speak, because Nicola will answer better this
No, I'll
question.
answer it my way. If he's not okay with it, he'll give his point of view, and this is how we are anyway. So we don't agree on everything, but we have enough to work on. Yeah. So for me, we like to control every single millimeter in our projects.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there is no room for for example, other artists, they will weld themselves, they will do themselves, and at some point every piece is different, which is very valuable at the same time. But we are not these kind of designers, we're not that kind of artists, whatever. We work in a very cerebral way. We like to control every single thing, and I think this is a very big difference already between us and most of the other collaborators with the gallery. Now, is it a good or a bad thing? I think it's good for us, but it takes more time to develop. It takes more time to have a finished product. We have products that have been developed for 3 years just to be perfect, and it takes time because there is no room for mistake. The mistake is so much more visible in that case.
Do you feel under pressure from the galleries at times saying, guys, we have Salone coming up, we have this coming up, we need to work faster, we need to have more output?
No, I feel pressure from David. I don't feel pressure from the gallery.
No, because I think that sometimes to create, you need pressure. And this is 100%. What I think. I think you need pressure. Now, from the gallery, but what I liked from the beginning when we started with them is that they told us it's going to be a long journey. Okay, so we're going to work together because we were 28, 29.
It's very young.
So it was really, it's young. So you need to, you have to work together to arrive, to stay long, to have a long-term relationship.
100%.
So it's a long process. Creativity with them, and now we are working on pieces. We are thinking of new pieces for them, so it's going to come. So it's but it's taking time. We're not going to create something just to create like this. But as Nicolas said, we don't have space to do mistakes. We did cabinets and stuff. So if something cracks, it's visible.
It's a tough balance, right? I'll give you an example. I mean, I'm in I guess restaurant business in a way, and when I look at the lighthouse, we had our first lighthouse 5 years ago. And then we waited 4 years with only one because we didn't feel ready and able to expand. We could have done it, but I didn't feel all the elements were coming together. So I very much appreciate what you're saying. But then there's the other element of not just external pressure, but if you are successful, putting pressure on yourself. And at some point it said, should we be expanding? Should we be doing more? And once we started doing that, which is the process we're in now, I'm now going the other way and saying, am I moving too much? And if I'm moving too fast, why am I putting this pressure on myself? I mean, do I need to prove something to myself or to the outside? So there's, I think, always this back and forth. And like you, I have a partner that I work with very closely. So we're two co-founders, and we're having this discussion at all times. I'm not sure there's a right or wrong here. Something feels right, a particular pace feels right. But certainly I have seen in your business, on a related business, people that are artists of different types, that they do put this pressure on themselves, or that pressure comes on them externally, and you start seeing a level of creativity that, at least to me, seems suboptimal. It seems like maybe this has worked commercially, so they start kind of working on the same thing over and over again. It doesn't feel like it took its time. It didn't mature, and it's a very, very fine balance. Because like Nicolas said, at the end of the day, you have the differentiation. And if you're not careful, that could fade. It does sometimes. And you're the best judges of that. But it's a very thin balance, right?
Very complicated.
It is.
And it's a discussion David and I have every single day almost. We look at other people's work. We think they change. We notice changes in their paths, and we say, do you think that would be a good change? Is it not too dangerous? At some point when you start from the beginning, you have nothing to lose. You know what I mean? You're 100%. Building, you're still building.
Correct.
Once you have your foundation and you know where you want to kind of go, even if you know where you want to go, you have to be very careful on how you get there. I'm going to give you a very simple example. When we did our first collection, not our first collection, our fourth collection for Nilufar, it was leaves. It was tables with like around the leaf. It was all these wooden triangles that were sculpted. And people came to the show and they were like, this is not you, guys. That doesn't look like your work. We knew already that we were moving towards that direction anyway. And today, even our marble vases, our carpets, everything is linked. But maybe it was too quick.
The change was fast, quick for people.
But it was
you
not
had
a
already
change.
moved on. You had evolved.
Yeah,
already.
we were like
to you,
years
you have
ahead
been working on
in
this
what
for
we
years.
want
So
to
what's
do.
the surprise?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but the argument was interesting because these tables did not sell up to 2 years ago. Now they started selling.
Yeah.
People understood them. People kind of, okay, this is them. Before it was like, no, it's too shocking. It was too like
abrupt.
Abrupt, exactly.
You guys have a very particular design language. We speak on this podcast quite a bit about hybridity. I think many of us have a hybrid upbringing in some ways. When we started the Lighthouse, I very much wanted to reflect that hybridity in the space, both physical and the menu, the entire experience. The entire experience holistically needed to express that level of hybridity that I felt. That is something that to me seems quite also going back to these threads that I see in your work. So you both grew up in Lebanon. You have a few collections actually at the beginning. There's a very nice nostalgic one when you bring in furniture from your grandmothers and you sort of appropriate it and contemporize it. I thought it was really cool. I was taking a look at it yesterday. So tell me a little bit about this. How much of that, your background as Lebanese, as someone who grew up in Beirut, is reflected in your work, and how important is it for you that hybridity remains? You could also say, I don't care. I mean, it's perfectly fine.
No, it's definitely like even like unconsciously,
subconsciously,
it comes, it inspires us. Okay, our country inspires us in terms of like proportions. The proportion that you use, like in Lebanon, are bigger than Europe. Or even So when you do a vase, you think of a vase.
100%.
When you're in you're in Italy or I don't know in Europe, it's like a vase, normal vase.
Yeah,
but like the proportion, like not just Lebanon, maybe Jordan, all of them, because we worked with Jordan, we worked with like
all of the
Arab
MENA
countries.
region, no? I think all of the MENA region is connected.
The GCC in some way takes it even turbocharged. I mean,
yeah.
Because remember, I mean, you grew up in Beirut, like I grew up in Cairo. Typically, you grew up in apartments in the city, or maybe they may have been larger than what you see in Europe, but it's still city living. In the Gulf, I mean, many of them grew up in houses and compounds and so on and so forth. So it's a very different proportion. And I agree, that is reflective. You see it across the Arab world, in my view.
It's true. And also because, we have this very Occidental approach. I was born in Paris. I moved to Beirut when I was 7. In my family, we are a bit French. We are very French educated. In Nicolas also, they're French.
Your accent doesn't give it away at all, by the way. I really thought it was Dutch.
Ah, really?
I'm joking.
Thank you.
I'm being a tiny bit ironic.
I was like, I hope I hope it was a bit, very French, very French accent. So with my, so you see, there is something very interesting is that we when we also did this collection, Uluhuda, we said, okay, us as Lebanese, what is our identity? Okay, and we were like starting digging in our story and everything, and we were like, all the Lebanese have something. They grab things from around the world because they travel a lot. Okay, and after they put them inside their house, especially in our grandma, there is like this chandelier from Italy, this sofa from France, from everything. This rug from Iran, the table from Syria. But there is a very big mix. Okay, and this is for us. This is Lebanese. This is the essence. Okay.
100%.
There is this part also, but there is another part, which is the Levant. If you have to speak about Egypt, all the Levant, if you have to speak about Lebanon, Syria, all this. And if you go to the past, where you have it's very graphic. It's very graphic. There is all geometries and stuff. And this is where we also got inspired in our work, like triangles, lines, and all that. So it's, I would say that, yes, our region, our country, our region inspire us a lot.
Do you find it grounding or disorienting?
I think it's grounding. Actually,
It can
like,
be confusing. I mean,
it can be, because the hardest thing that you have to do it subconsciously. You cannot plan it. Like, you can't force it.
So true. It's the only way it will look genuine. For us, it's the genuine creativity is very important. This is where we stand. We don't like to push things. Sometimes we do a little push. Sorry.
I completely agree with that. I agree that if it's forced, it doesn't work.
There is a book that we were reading when we did at the beginning of our career when we were working. It's the book of Amin Maalouf. It's a very the famous book of the Les Identités Meurtrières, which is in the name of identity, where he speaks about what is identity, what's the identity of a person. At the end, he arrives at an identity is a mix of all his culture that combined where he traveled, so it's unique. Okay, so I cannot say today I am Lebanese, I am French, I am David, you're Hashem, he's Nicolas.
When we come back, we'll dig into how David and Nicolas have been delving into one of my favorite subjects, food, and how it influences their thinking and design language. As it turns out, they've been thinking a lot about kitchens. All of that right after the short break. Welcome back. You're listening to the Lighthouse Conversations with our guests, David Raffoul and Nicolas Moussalim.
There's another thread that I see that's something you guys explore on and off that seems to be very important to you. And obviously, it's something that I think about quite a bit, which is food. So food seems central to some of the work you do. I mean, as I've said earlier, I've been to a restaurant in Beirut that you guys had designed, which was really beautiful and lovely. I don't know if it's still there. I hope it is after all the bombings and all of that. But you've also done other work, both residential and others, and it seems to be the point of kitchens, food, things around that. Walk me a little bit through this. And also, when I saw you at the Lighthouse, you were obviously very interested in food in general, I could tell.
I really liked your food, and the food in the Lighthouse was so good. I really, I hope next time in Dubai, it's the first restaurant I
hope so too. Thank you. It's very kind. So is there a thread, or is that just me making this up?
I'm very bad with food, so I'm going to let David speak about this.
No, food is important. Kitchen. Nicolas maybe Nicolas says that he doesn't. Maybe Nicolas is so picky with food. He doesn't like this. He doesn't like this. He will end up only with chicken nuggets and fries, or if McDonald's. But it's the truth. Like, yes, I'm sorry, but I would say that we love to focus on the kitchen. Yeah, okay, why? We really like. Actually, I'm going to show you because there is a kitchen here in my place in Milan, and we designed it, Nicolas. But then it's a whole piece of food, and it's 80 centimeters deep. I'm showing you. And because also, you know why? Because there is you need to focus on where to put the spices, where to put the pans.
Like a puzzle.
It's a puzzle, and how to make it beautiful and to choose. So. Lately, we are really when we are doing interiors, we are trying to focus more. We are focusing on everything, but we have a special focus on the.
And very often, it's the heart of a home, right? So the kitchen. I can tell you, we in our kitchen here, which is an open kitchen, 80% of our time, whether it's me, my wife, my kids, is spent around that area. So it's so central. And to your point about puzzle, all the pieces have to fit in. So how do you do it that it would still follow an aesthetic you're comfortable with of being clean, maybe if that's the aesthetic you like, yet the functionality is very important. All the stuff, like you said, has to be there and easily, readily available. And that's not an easy, that's a challenge.
But look, a good kitchen is a very, very, very beautiful, and a very, very good kitchen is a very, very functional kitchen.
You're right.
It cannot work if you didn't put the oven in the right place, the dishwasher in the right place, where you have to clean. Everything should be very well thought, so you have your movements are not interfering together. So it's a very
and it can be overly clinical, right? So some people do some very clean kitchen designs, but they look so clinical that it looks like you're going to the dentist. And as you
I
said, I
don't
mean, it
like
has to
that.
live. It has to live as well, right?
I like to have stains on my marble top. I like to have
Exactly.
everything reminds me that we're living here. I
The
hate to
concept
come in
of
a
time
kitchen
again.
and feel like it's made of corian or whatever.
You're 100% right. And I think those stains and those lines in the tables, that's the element of time, right? That it feels lived.
Exactly. It's the memories that you build. No, okay, so I'm not good with food, but I'm good with kitchen. So
Yeah,
You
he's
are.
very good. And I agree.
I love to unmount, dismount, remodel, rethink. All of these things is I find it it's like a challenge.
We did a coffee shop here in Milan, a small coffee shop for people, for there is young guys. They did.
I looked it up.
Ghost kitchens. They're very young. It's a cool startup, and they create these ghost kitchens for chefs if they want to come and rent.
It's a very fancy ghost kitchen, by the way. I mean, trust me, I know the business of ghost kitchens, and I looked at it. I was like, this ain't the ghost kitchen. I mean, this is like a super duper cool ghost kitchen. I will never show it to my chefs.
No, the coffee shop that we designed. This is a bit it's a very casual place. It's nothing crazy fancy. We wanted to do something very cool and nice, because where you want to have your coffee in the morning and easy. And around it there is a kitchen. The kitchens are very basic, stainless, nothing.
Industrial kitchens,
very industrial, and it's on the street. Okay, like you can just pick up your food. But it was very interesting because we had to focus on how to make this coffee shop that is in between kitchens, industrial kitchens, and it's. Lately we work a lot with food.
and I mean, look, I mean, we are very involved in this, as you can imagine, in this discussion in terms of physical restaurants, virtual, kitchen, ghost kitchens, close, all of that. And it's amazing how that I was actually just having this conversation, and I also invested in some of these cloud kitchen concepts over the years. It's amazing how the line between what's virtual and what's physical has been blurred.
Yeah.
And most customers actually don't care, and you need to be present in both. In other words, if David comes to the lighthouse, via social media, access via cloud kitchen they might have, or physically walks in, I need to give you the same experience. And it's a challenge. It's not easy. But that line is getting completely blurred, because in some cases, especially on delivery, you don't actually know where it's coming from. But that packaging, the food, the quality has to be, identical.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
Everything is mixed up.
It is mixed up. It is completely mixed up.
You cannot. Your head needs to be in everywhere. You have to think of how to communicate, and at the same time, you have to think of if you communicate wrong, maybe your communication will be too unpersonal. You don't want something wrong. So after it's you can maybe with your communication give a wrong idea of your place. When they come to your place, they think, I thought it was like this. So there is. So it's important to have one person that decide, actually, chef d'orchestre, and will give directions.
You're right.
Because he's going to be aware of all the things.
You need a chef d'orchestre. So speaking of which, and this will get us into an interesting discussion about the two of you and your relationship and chef d'orchestre. So let's focus now first on the representation to the outside. So when you're looking at how you're being perceived, today, obviously, there's social media channels and many other ways of people communicating with you. How do you think about that? Are you looking to portray a particular image or a particular idea because this very well may be future customers, etc. But also your business has two elements, right? There's a B2C. So people like myself, as I said, consumers, individuals that come, love your work, may approach you, and a B2B element because you also represent it through galleries that have clients that are businesses, not individuals. Do you think about this, and how do you go about your representation?
We haven't thought about this, actually. No, we like to be as transparent as we can. For us, if we have to strategize and think in a business way, we would never be able to do what we do. We need to be 100% authentic. We need to be 100% convinced of what we're doing. We have had clients that came in that we did not feel we could work with, and we did not work with them. We have had people that wanted to work with us, and we thought there was something interesting. We were not sure, but we thought it was worth developing and trying, and we did that.
And to be honest, now we are in a stage of our career where we want to do some challenges. We are not looking always for the
next job,
perfect project that will come. And sometimes we have things coming, but we're ready to take it as a challenge, because we want to learn. Okay, it's a learning process. And as Nicolas said, I think that the idea is to have always this very authentic image. Okay, we don't want to arrive to a point where we become prisoners of something, of
an image you created, or something that's not you.
Yeah.
Do you find yourselves agreeing? I mean, walk me a little bit through the relationship. So you met in Beirut when you were doing your first degree, is that right?
Yeah, we met at McDonald's.
Well, of course, we now know that that's where Nicolas hangs out most of the time. So that
I thought we should eat at McDonald's.
That's true. We met at McDonald's, I remember.
Yeah, we met at McDonald's.
Because David used to eat there a lot 15 years ago.
No,
16,
but we were at the Lebanese. We were at the Lebanese Academy of Fine Art, and we were there, and they're like, and there was a friend in common that put us in.
So how did it? So walk me through this, because this relationship obviously is very personal, very professional, and I mean similar to the relationship I have with my business partner. I mean, you spend more time with this person than almost anyone else, whether you like it or not. So you met, and then what? You immediately kind of clicked and felt there was a chemistry, or did one of you think the other one, oh, he's really he has bad taste in McDonald's?
I think we clicked.
Yeah, but I think David thought I was obnoxious, so
yeah,
it took him time.
No. We clicked. I knew that he would be my friend first. We were thinking as friends, but we clicked directly because we were doing a lot of projects together, even at university. Then after we went to Milan, then after it was working. We were so transparent together. I don't mind saying anything. Oh, Nicolas, what you're doing is so bad, or vice versa. So it's so transparent. There's no ego. Okay, and we worked on the ego part. It didn't happen like, we're gonna be together and No, we worked on this. Okay, when we present a project, there is no I did. No, we did.
No, now it's I did, but the difference is I'm gonna explain this. It's a very important point. When we started, we were like, we did. Now I say I did if he did. I don't care. It's We say I did. It's just it's not with a pretentious, like when I have a call with a client, I say, okay, I'm gonna do this, but it's not me who's doing this. It's me and David.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's just now we became I, but together. And this is what's really interesting. I don't know if David noticed, but the last couple of years, we moved from being we to I, and it's both of us. It's we don't even have our personal emails. We have one email for both of us. We don't even have one for him, one for me. It's both of us.
These details are very important because you realize that at the end there is no misleading. Like no one is misleading the other.
There's a huge amount of trust. Obviously, it wouldn't work any other way. Trust both as people and in your own respective skill sets, because you have to complement each other.
Yeah.
So how do you complement each other? I mean, do you feel you have different styles in terms of temperament, etc., or are you both similar and that's why it works?
No, we're the complete opposites of the spectrum.
Yeah, but somewhat like you're more realistic, you're more like earthy, like the planet Earth. I'm more in
the sky.
Cloud. Yeah.
In the terms of what you design, or in terms of how you approach life?
No, in terms of life, we have very different lives.
Overall, I always like to, after Nicolas, go deep, but after we exchange roles. It's a very particular approach that we have. Nicolas is more like not more technical, but he will make things happen sometimes. Also, in the other side, I will also make things happen, but maybe in the other part, we really complement each other.
Do you guys speak every day?
Yeah, every 10 minutes.
Every 10 minutes.
FaceTime like this.
Even after work, just for fun.
No, it's but maybe sometimes it's intense.
So that was my next question. So do you also hang out outside of your work? So
yeah, we have our friends. It's the same group.
No, we are best friends.
I go out more. I'm more social.
No, I understand that, but it's a lot, right? I'm trying to. It's a lot. I mean, you work with each other all day, and then does it come like 8 p.m. and you say, you know what, guys, as of 8 p.m. it's fun. We're not going to be talking about work, or Is it sort of completely interchangeable? It is fluid.
No,
it's totally fluid.
Yeah. We can speak about work at the party at like 2 a.m. But it's like a 5-minute talk, a quick talk about, tomorrow we have to do this, and that. And then, okay, we have a drink. It's not, there is no schedule. This is the beauty of it.
I may be more social than Nicola. I go out more. I have my lifestyle. My lifestyle is very different from the one of Nicola. I have a different lifestyle. Yeah, I travel sometimes more, like, because maybe I'm more free. Nicola has a family, and
yeah, of course, that also makes a difference. And when you disagree, what's the nature of those disagreements? I mean, is it on design? Is it on commercial issues? Is it on, what? Give us a sense. I'm not trying to pry. But
okay, I have an example. For example,
Please.
We want to produce a piece. Me, I want to use this material. I want to do this shape. Okay, and I'm going to say, no, we have to make it happen. We have to make it happen. After Nicola will say, start. No, this doesn't work. It's not functional. It's going to be super heavy. We're going to have problem with the logistic. We have problem with like all the problems that will come with it, But after we said, I'm going to push. No, we can. I'm sure we can find a solution. And there is a fight, and there is like, no, you don't understand. This is like we have to.
In Arabic, this part is in Arabic.
This is how we have to. This is how we have to create a new piece. This is how we have to to find a new materials. Blah, blah, blah. After he says, yeah, but you cannot do this because, this kind of. There is a lot of these kinds of fights.
It's not fight. It's just that I'm a control freak in general, and he's a control freak, but in very different ways. I like to be sure that what we are working on is going to happen. I don't like to work and then at the end, it's unrealistic. It's like 100K to produce. No way, it doesn't make sense. And he is more like a control freak on like what the product adds to our work or to whatever we're doing, to the collaboration we're working on.
That's very interesting.
And I understand his obsession with that, and he understands mine. And this is where we always have to find a point
Actually, this is our complementary. This is where we complement each other, by the way.
Yeah, because both points are important. And for each one to fighting for that particular point, you create an internal balance. There's a harmony. I mean, exactly. You can sense a harmony, even in the conversation now. The way you guys are approaching something similar, but from very different angles, which creates, I think, a more harmonious overall outcome. Why do you think that, you guys have a very successful collaboration relationship. You've really built a name for yourself, I must say. It's fantastic to see and to have seen that beautiful evolution over the years. No, I mean that. And for someone who is interested in art and design, but not just, it's great to see and very proud of that, because the reality of it out from our part of the world, there are not that many. Why do you think we're struggling to see designers and even artists, generally speaking, at that level? Is it lack of access? Is it that we're just being measured by Western norms? Or we don't have the right institutions to support the talent? Why do you think that's the case?
I think most of the problem with design in general is that people want to become like stars overnight.
They don't want to put the hard work.
And I think that our field is a field of hard work. It's a field of perseverance. It's a field of also having a clear vision of what you want to put to the table. Like, what are you adding to the table? I'm not talking about someone in general, but most designers tend to look at what's happening in Europe and they want to do something that is European, but it's impersonal. Like, why would you have something Scandinavian made in Beirut? It doesn't make sense.
You need to find a good recipe.
Yeah, your differentiation point, absolutely.
Yeah,
but you also need to dream big, right?
You have to dream. Me and Nicola, Nicola and me, we have a vision that is very similar. This is what
definitely, because you could have just been very celebrated in Beirut, and that's still very satisfying, right?
It is satisfying.
And you could have just said that, khalas, I'm the king of my own castle. Why the hell would I go and bother with Nilofar and carpenters and put myself out there and then more criticism?
Because you need credibility. And Nicola and I, we always needed credibility. We couldn't trust only the credibility of the critics of Lebanon, because it's not We need, like, when we created a piece.
No, I completely understand. A stamp of approval in a way.
Yeah, because it makes us to see if we are like doing the right thing, because it compares with everything that is created around the world.
But you still think like that. So now you have it. It's sort of akin to, going to Harvard and having the degree. Once you have it, then what? So people are finding it very hard to get in. Once they're in and they graduate, I mean, you have that now. You have that step.
Now it's having our own. Like, it's not that I don't think we have it. It's very weird because David and I don't think we have the same point on this. That I personally don't care what people think of what we're doing. I have really zero.
Let me push you on this. Do you really not, or you think you don't? Because I want to just push back.
I don't. I really don't.
So if you do a show today in Milan, or not even anywhere, and you come back and all the critics and everybody's like, "Oh, it's really not good. I mean, we really don't like this." It wouldn't affect you?
No, me personally, no, I don't care.
Really not. Nicolas is very. No, I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked by this. It will affect me. It will affect me.
It will affect me for sure if I was in the shoes.
You need to understand who are the critics. You know what I mean? Like, it's very easy now on social media. You can see everybody can criticize everything. Right. It's okay. So if you're gonna be shamed by people who can have very various agendas that have personal gain to do that also.
Yeah, but what if somebody who you think is gonna be, let's say Nina comes to you and tells you, Nicolas, honestly, work, I don't like it. It's not good. I mean, would you not care?
She wouldn't do that if we're working on a collection together, no?
True, but what if you're working on a different collection, not together? I'm sorry, I'm
pushing you for a reason. I understand. And she might have said that sometime in the past also, that I like this collection, but I don't know, it's not too much you for her. It's not us.
And it didn't affect you?
No, it doesn't affect me because I respect her point of view, but we're on a completely different cloud. We have a vision from A to not Z. I don't know where it stops, because then at some point you need to discover new stuff. And if someone doesn't understand what we're doing and in the present moment, it doesn't mean that they won't get it 2 years from now.
You don't get bouts of self-doubt?
No, we have self-doubt. We get tons of self-doubt, but between us, not because of people.
Yeah, there's a lot of between. We question our design, our work,
No, you can't imagine how many times we reevaluate everything.
I'm sure.
At least once a month.
No, we do it a lot, actually.
Have you looked generally in terms of product design? I mean, you're obviously your focus has been, for the most part, on furniture and some smaller objects as well. Do you see yourselves, for example, doing something that is completely away from that, maybe purely object design, or even something, a very different type of medium?
Yeah, no problem. But with the collaboration with someone, not us as a store. Like, I would see this working I would love to work on a set of tools with a tool manufacturer that's like insane, that can do little leather works. Why not? But we don't like to design pieces that are not asked for. I don't know how to explain. Like, if today I'm not going to say, okay, David, it's Wednesday, let's do a chair. For whom? No one. Just do a chair. No way. It doesn't even come.
Yeah, but sometimes, Nicolas, what's happening, like it happened many times, we have an idea suddenly and we just do it.
Yes, but the idea we have, it comes related to something. It doesn't come out of the blue. Like, it comes, for example, I have this idea for carpenters. I have this idea for Nilufar. And because the idea is already kind of has a DNA of who is going to be working with us. It doesn't just come and it's just us.
Speaking of that, can you maybe spend a few minutes just telling us what you're currently working on? Is there anything in the near future that we may, beyond the Spotify list too, which I'm now expecting, by the way?
No, we will share it with you.
Pressure is on.
No, we're working on many. We're working on design, like furniture design. We're working for carpenters. We're creating new pieces. We're working also on private residence, like in Egypt. We're doing a coffee in Riyadh, a coffee shop.
How fun!
Yeah, coffee shop, not a restaurant, coffee shop. And also Beirut, you have some Beirut less project with what's happening, but we still have some stuff. So it's a bit mix and
What do you do in Egypt? Is it something residential?
residential.
Yeah.
Have you been there recently?
Yes.
Yeah.
For the first time.
For the first time. Okay, so you don't have a reference point.
4 months ago.
No, because there's such a boom happening that, I mean, for people like me that grew up there, and since the revolution, it was so depressed. All of a sudden, there's such a new type of energy, and obviously furious construction, as I'm sure you've noticed.
Yeah, a lot.
So I'm curious, what was your impression?
No, it's impressive.
No, it was super impressive.
It's like very inspiring. The most beautiful museum is the National Museum, I think. Personally, it's the most beautiful museum I saw in my life. Okay. I didn't see all of them in the world, so I don't know. Maybe I have to go to the Wood Museum of Japan. Okay.
Sure.
But it was like, it's intense. There is a lot of information, but also what's very weird is like the poverty and the rich side of the city. Yeah. I don't know.
The juxtaposition, the juxtaposition of the two and the contrast.
I think there is a lot of work in Egypt to work on the human side. Even the acceptance of the people, like the mentality, the woman, there is a lot of things. It's like this is the only thing that actually makes me think a lot about the country.
That's so interesting. Thank you, guys. That was really great, very thoughtful, very inspiring.
Thank you, Hashim.
I'm sure a lot will come out of it.
I think that's what we said.
No, you being yourselves, which makes for the best conversations.
Thank you for joining us on the Lighthouse Conversations with me, Hashim Montasser. We're produced by Chirag Desai, and our content director is Farah Al-Sharif. You can find out more about David and Nicolas' work on davidandnicolas.com, and there'll also be a link in our show notes. You can tell us what you thought of this episode by leaving us a review on your podcast app or finding us on Instagram at @thelighthouse_AE. And please share the link with your friends if you've enjoyed this. We'll see you again in 2 weeks.